Hello, I'm Toycat, and welcome back to the second channel geography video. This is another series where we talk about geography and the world and stuff, and also boats. But we'll get into that in a second, because did you know Africa and Asia are two entirely separate continents? This is the fact you come to the channel for. They are in fact separate, or rather they seem separate, but they're actually linked together by land. Naturally, Africa over here and Asia are linked, as you can see over here. However, humans saw that it was a very small link, and we figured we could take advantage of the fact that most of the world's economy at the time was in Europe, and most of the world's goods that people wanted were in Asia. And if you take, for instance, the journey from India to Portugal, two pretty short journeys, you can see how, like, even though they're pretty close together, the sea route, which is how most shipping has always been done, would involve going all the way around Africa, and that is a no-go when instead people realized that over here there was Port Said to the north and there was Suez to the south. Already there were lakes almost connecting them. It would just require 20 or so miles of tunnel, and so the French, of canal. Well, I guess a canal is just a tunnel, but for boats. Anyway, so the French, I have to give them something. There aren't many things you can give the French, but you can give them commendation for over 150 years ago digging the Suez Canal. And that Suez Canal is one of the most impressive parts of global shipping to this day, because it allows journeys from anywhere in Europe to basically anywhere in Asia to be made significantly faster. And so one of my questions, because you can see the Suez Canal on a map, it looks like this. You can also see the Watanya gas station just not too far away from it. But you can see the Suez Canal on a map, and I've always thought to myself, like, okay, so at these, at the Great Bitter Lake over here and at these lakes, you can see there's two canals, and it's like, actually, it's pretty easy to imagine that, like, yeah, that's a big canal, they're very safe. But right here, my immediate wonder when you see this is like, it seems as though having a canal that is only 300 meters across, that seems like that is dangerous. If we rely so much on global shipping going through here, shouldn't we have like a failsafe? I mean, again, you can see for most of the canal's route, it is two separate canals. Over here, it's two separate canals. Over here, it's two separate canals. Over here, it's two separate canals. So surely something's wrong with that. And then I thought, I'm sure if it was a big deal, they would have done it by now. Like the Suez Canal is so important that someone would have thought about this. It can't be an issue. And so, a boat's never gonna go sideways and capsize. And you know what happened? That exact thing happened right here. The Egypt Suez Canal blocked by a huge container ship, and because just like Flight Radar 24, there is something called Vessel Finder for boats, where you can zoom in and you can see exactly what's happened. According to this BBC news report, what happened was the boat was probably blown by wind. The boat blew in the wind and it hit the shore, and now what's that? One of the world's major trading shipping ways is blocked. Well, that's probably no problem, right? I'm sure that'll get fixed any minute now, and ignoring the fact that it might be it might be many days until this is fixed. It's like, well, there's not that many boats swinging around, except actually, let me show you. So because it happened to crash in one of these single sections of the canal that wasn't double wide, you can see how already, just a few days later, all of these boats are piled up, waiting in a line. You can see there is like a boat traffic jam extending all the way over to here. It's kind of intense how many... Okay, well, let's zoom in so you can see that boatiness, shall we? You can see how it's kind of intense just how many boats are already waiting around, but it's like, that's fine. And then you realize the Suez Canal is bi-directional. So there's a bunch of boats now stuck in this random lake I mean random, it's part of the Suez Canal, but they're stuck in a lake in Egypt that now, because of the lack of Suez Canal, is just a random lake. And then also up on the north, because a bunch of them are hesitant to enter the Suez Canal, there is also a giant traffic jam there too. It is hilarious to me because you might think a boat traffic jam means nothing to you, but as you can tell from the Ever Given, the ship that did that, is actually a massive container ship. There are thousands of containers, literally thousands, by the way, close to 10,000 containers worth of freight aboard that ship, waiting to, filled with goods that you probably care about if you live in Rotterdam, which realistically they go to the rest of Europe. But then bear in mind that not only is that boat going to be super late to getting where it needs to go, so is this boat. That's not a very pretty looking boat. So is this boat filled with its container ships, which is going to Norfolk in the United States. I feel like it's not taking a very good path if that's where it's going. Oh no, it's going from Norfolk to the Suez Canal. My bad. So this American boat, this boat going to the Bahamas, or from the Bahamas, this boat going from Charleston. Apparently a lot of shipping happens in America. But anyway, my point is, all of these boats carrying all of these container ships with all of the things that make the world function I mean, this one looks empty in this picture, but I'm sure it's not. Oh, this is coming from France. You know what? It's fine if they don't get their goods delivered. But my point is besides mildly passive-aggressive comments towards the French, is that there is a global shipping route which is currently just shut down, and we don't really know when it's going to be open, because the deal is you might think, oh, well, it's just make it unsideways. So when a ship runs aground, that's kind of a big deal, and it turns out there aren't really many great preparations as to what to do about this, and so the current update I've seen is Egypt got themselves an excavator to try and dig out the boat so it can go underground, and once it's not aground anymore, then obviously that boat will be able to turn itself around and get out of there. But no, this is like a situation that, despite being, again, I felt whenever you feel like there's an issue that's like so obvious that they must be planning for it non-stop, apparently if it doesn't happen for long enough, no one plans for it. Like, there's so many dumb examples of that. Like, you know, do you ever look at, I got a billion examples that definitely are dumb. Like, do you see balconies and think, what if 10 people jump on that? Will the balcony fall onto the next one? How do we secure balconies? Because they seem very not secure to me. But like that exact thing, see, that's dumb. I know for sure some architect has considered that, or have they? Have every time I've been on a balcony, have I been ready to die? Sometimes the obvious things aren't thought about enough, and sometimes those not obvious things that are thought about lead to crazy delays like this. But yeah, in case you're curious as to how we found this, and also, by the way, in case you're like, oh, yeah, well, it's fine. Like, sure, boats can't go places, but most things don't go via boats anyway. Most shipping actually is via boat. I can only find data for food, but, like, food is, like, a bad example for a lot of reasons. But, like, just to prove this point, 59% of food goes via boat, and 0.16 goes via air. Air shipping, it seems like it's the future, but honestly, it's too futuristic for us to really manage in terms of, like, it is expensive, it's very fast, it's very efficient, but it's in terms of like getting there quickly, but it's not very money efficient. It costs so much money to get goods places by air, which is why instead we throw 1,000 cargo containers onto a boat and we throw it through the Suez Canal, which we now can't do. So yeah, that's the update in terms of like world news, whatever. You didn't need to hear Toycat talk about that and the tragedy that I think arises from this, but instead, okay, you know, I do want to talk about that a whole bunch. Don't get me wrong. However, as soon as I found out there was a vessel finder website where you could see where all the boats in the world right now are, again, I assumed this sort of thing wouldn't be able to exist because I'm sure military boats aren't on it, but you can see how, okay, just if we zoom out right here, you can see how the world's oceans are filled with boats. If we compare that, on the other hand, you know what, let's go compare that. Let's go to Google. Let's go to Flight Radar 24 and just show you every plane in the world right now. I mean, obviously, okay, wait. Yeah, I think actually right now is going to look way worse because air traffic's way down. So this is every plane in the world right now. So obviously, they fly over land a lot more, but you can see how if we compare all of the world's, oh my god, look how many there are in America. I feel like because the US is domestic, flying has like taken up again, whereas the rest of the world is still kind of iffy about it. It's crazy to see this map and realize, okay, there we go. There are all the planes again. You know, but if you compare the two maps, it's crazy to me just how many boats there are in the oceans. In places you probably don't even expect, like, what's this boat doing up here? Okay, there's no picture for that boat. What's this boat doing here? What about this boat? Oh, can you not see pictures while they're just in satellite position? That's so sad. You can just see cargo ship, tanker, fishing vessel. There's a passenger ship. What is a passenger ship doing in, you know, okay, but my point is the ocean, the world is just filled with boats going everywhere. It's also filled with planes. But seeing the comparison between the two is fascinating because planes require spending a ton of energy to fly through the skies. Boats just use the world's natural resource of oceans and then get from place to place to place. And what's interesting is looking at this map and realizing where boats go that you might not have realized. So for instance, all of this area in Europe that basically connects nowhere, oh, it actually turns out very important shipping, like St. Petersburg, giant port, that's, if I'm not mistaken, is warm even during the winter. I could be wrong about that. I feel like this sometimes freezes over, but like not so much anymore. Maybe I'm crazy about that. Let me know, shipping fans, of the comments. But also it's like, oh yeah, there's a lot of shipping going up to Finland and up to, Sweden up there, more than you'd expect. Also, there is a surprising number of like tankers and like, the term is, I think it's like icebreakers going in what is effectively frozen waters. We can't get any pictures of any of them. So like, there's a surprising number of boats all the way up here in the north of Russia where no one lives. But even more interesting than just like this, because again, I think the more interesting thing about this map is partially like how many boats there are in places you don't expect boats. This lake has so many boats going through it. Wow. It's crazy. Like wherever there is water between two faraway points, we use that water because it is the most efficient way to get between 2 points. And the craziest examples to me that I just forget about are like, oh yeah, that includes the river, I think it's the Danube. People are always like, oh, it's the Danube, not the Danube. You know what, live a little bit. Have a fun word for these things. Do you want to see the Heilbronn ship going to Kielhelm? I bet you don't. Do you want to see the Graz ship from Linz, Austria? The fact that all of these boats are just going places all the time across the world tells you this story about how much is happening as humans that we just aren't thinking about. Are you thinking about the Graz cargo ship going to Linz? I bet you're not. I bet when you picture your economic vision of the world, you don't imagine the Canopolis sailing vessel or the UK 227 Orange Nassau going to Harlingen, Netherlands. That's a tiny boat, actually. It's a fishing vessel. But like, also you don't picture like, oh yeah, there's so much international trade that relies on these kind of big agreements. Because I think the big thing that comes out of this is the realization of just how important the Suez is. Again, billions of dollars are going to be lost by all sorts of corporations around the world. The world economy, it's not going to be the hugest hit. The world economy will take a hit to this because of the amount of things that are just stuck for some long amount of time. And we'll realize on two fronts just how much we really rely on Egypt and indeed the Suez Canal. And also, you know, the Suez Canal is the wider of the two canals that we rely on as humans, because as you might have seen from this article, the Suez Canal is actually much wider and deeper than the Panama Canal, and the Panama Canal does basically the same thing. Again, humans, again, in case you have any doubt about just how important these canals are, just because we wanted to get between Europe and the east of Asia, actually, I think it actually doesn't help you with Europe and Asia. I think it's East Coast of America and West Coast of America, or East Coast of America and Asia easier. But just because people wanted to do that, we dug a giant canal in Panama. Have you heard of the Panama Canal? Of course you've heard of the Panama Canal. But like the Panama Canal is actually significantly smaller than the Suez Canal. Again, it varies by area, but you can see how like, oh yeah, it turns out that could happen at any minute over here too. We have basically two bottlenecks that will break world shipping for a significant amount of time. And I guess we realize how much we rely on Panama and how much we rely on Egypt for basically just giving the world access to those corridors. There's a much, and funnily enough, one of the ways in which Canada is becoming a big player is right now the Northwestern Passage is frozen over some parts of the year. It's not a worldwide shipping route because it's not reliable, but as global warming heats up, you're going to find that the Northwest Passage is going to start to have that same effect as, again, if we look at the Panama Canal right now, what's that? Is that a ton of boats? Look how many there are. But also you're going to see how the same thing is going to slowly start happening with the Northwestern Passages. Right now, it's funny, there's no boats in there because there's again, I believe, given that it is winter, it is frozen over. But the amount of like new options that will be opened up and the amount of control that gives, again, currently Egypt and Panama, the amount of control that gives currently Egypt and Panama, but soon to be Canada over worldwide shipping is something we shouldn't think too lightly about. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I just wanted to make this video because I think this map of boats is fascinating. This isn't boats. This map of, look at the boats. You think to yourself that boats can't go on land, but then you see the Delta Airlines boat from Detroit to Seoul, Korea, and you're like, I guess they can. I guess boats can go on land now. But no, more seriously, Did I close my tab with the boats in? How did I even do that? You don't realize boats, and you don't realize how much you care about boats until boats make you care about them, and then you realize how big boats are compared to things you think are big, and then you realize that, oh god, the whole world is relying on so many things all the time. Keeping the world steady is a miracle that relies on so many people doing their jobs just right, and when someone does their job mildly not right, like the captain of this ship, the world can suffer in huge ways. And maybe that tells you something beautiful, that like the world is so interconnected, that's why we don't fight wars, because like if we can accidentally mess stuff up like that, imagine how much someone could intentionally mess your stuff up. But also, it's a reminder that you can't just rely on the world always getting better. Like every year, every decade, we make the world a better place than it was before, but it doesn't just magically get there. We have to make it better, and also we have to stop it from getting worse. There is if you forgive my sea metaphor, there is a tide rising against us. I feel like as humans trying to push society backwards, and so far we have paddled against that tide. We have still gone against the river. But you've got to remember, if you stop, if you focus on something else, as we're always so inclined to do, the tide will push you back, and you just want to make sure you're not on the wrong side of the tide. So that is my lesson. Or maybe it's not a lesson, I don't know. But I hope you'll enjoy this video. If you did all enjoy it, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And I guess also to some extent, like both Spain and the UK have extreme control, and Morocco, over who can get to the Suez Canal on this side. Also, to some lesser extent, again, they haven't really done too much of it, but Yemen and Djibouti have a huge amount of control over this. You know, there's a lot of very interesting points here about how this works. I'm just saying that maybe you want to like, favorite, and subscribe. Aha, got you. Second channel, don't care. Bye.